Hello, this week we welcome back Ken Disbrow from Public Knowledge, LLC.
Hi, Ken, and thank you for joining us again.
You're welcome.
We would like to get your take on how to align IT projects with organizational strategy. So first, can you tell us what is meant by aligning projects with strategy?
Yeah, any sort of business enterprise, and by that I'll include public sector agencies as well as private sector agencies. It's really about return on investment, what you get for what you spend. That can be measured in dollars, which is how most people think of it, but in public sector agencies, it can also be measured in public good. What value do we get out of having PBS and those sorts of things, which isn't necessarily measured in dollars. So strategy in general is about maximizing your return on investment in either the near term or long term. We'll do X to get more revenue, or we'll do Y to reduce expenses. The tactics to accomplish these strategies are often projects and IT projects. So we'll put in a new customer service portal, or we'll institute a new accounting system. We do these things so we can improve our return on investment, and that's sort of why you align projects with strategy. Again, strategies are about how you accomplish your return on investment. The tactics are the projects that accomplish those strategies.
So how important is it for IT projects to align with the strategy? So what I mean is, what happens to projects if they do not align with the strategy?
Well, usually if it's in smaller organizations, it can be disastrous because projects cost money. And if you're not getting a return on them, obviously you're going to lose money. In larger organizations, I've seen projects go on for quite a while that have no alignment with strategy. And sooner or later, in my experience, they go downhill. The bottom line is you're wasting money if your project isn't aligned with your strategy. That's not a business, that's a hobby. I personally love gardening, but I get no return on, other than a personal fulfillment, I don't get a return on investment. So you're not there, you're not in business to waste money. You're not in public sector to waste money. You're there to provide some return on the efforts you expend to get it done. So the bottom line is sometimes projects get done that have no return, but more often than not, in a small organization, it'll kill it. In a public sector organization, it gets exposed. I'm sure you've all seen, people up in arms in the paper about wasted IT projects and things like that. And in big companies, it gets buried or canceled if they don't align with corporate strategy.
So have you ever consulted for an IT project that was not aligned to organizational strategy? You have an example you can share with us?
Yeah. Well, you and I met over a project that was occurring. This was back in the kind of .com days in the early 2000s, when the idea, it was almost more important to have a website out there than actually have some business rationale for having the website. And you and I worked on a project together where there was really no business rationale for having the website, and it just went, costs skyrocketed despite our best efforts, and you and I kind of telling the president of the company that, hey, there's no reason for this. This isn't going to make you money. Why don't you focus on the things that make you money? They wanted to go ahead with it. Again, which wasn't aligned with a corporate strategy or a return on investment. And sure enough, the company went out of business, as you're aware of that. Yep. I've seen that happen a lot of places where, projects either get, in small companies, they put them out of business, like you and I were working for that day, in the day. In bigger companies, they get swept under the rug. Again, in public sector agencies, it becomes kind of an excuse for big hearings. You heard about all the hearings we had over Obamacare and the ACA and all the portals and all the Oregon had a giant failure of their self-developed portal. The feds even had a bit of a disaster getting their portal up. All those things are bits where the strategy didn't necessarily align with the tactics didn't necessarily align with the strategy, or the projects didn't align with the strategy.
So is there anything that project managers can do to ensure that their projects are delivering value?
Yeah, measure it. I can't emphasize that enough. everything you do should be contributing to the return on investment. Each project should begin by projecting its impact on your return and its impact on your strategy. Predict the benefit. Let the organization know, is this going to reduce costs? Is it going to improve customer service? Is it going to increase revenues? Kind of during and after the project, whenever benefits begin to accrue, you should measure it. And that can keep a project alive, simply because you can prove it's returning on investment. So that's the biggest thing is, anything worth doing in a business can be measured, and a project, particularly a tactic to accomplish a strategy, should be measured.
So if it's so important to align with the strategy, why do so many IT projects not align with the strategy? I know I've seen it and you've seen it, as we just discussed. Why do you think that happens?
I think there's a number of reasons. There's often there's a naivete. Look at Silicon Valley, where they'll just throw tons of money at an idea, but the people getting the money often either lack leadership, lack the knowledge, lack the discipline, or lack the ability to communicate that they need to understand what the benefit is from their team on any of these sub projects. So, in general, it's poor management and leadership. I don't blame project managers per se often, because often it's not demanded of them, that they have a return on investment, or that they align their projects with strategy. So that's really about it. I blame it on leadership.
Yeah, sometimes we want to implement technology just for technology's sake, right?
Yeah, and if you leave it up to, even good technical people I know don't want to waste their time. They want to feel like they're contributing to the greater whole, and they will often see the problem, but sometimes management doesn't. It's just like we discussed earlier about the company you and I had worked for, where they were convinced that just having it, build it and they will come sort of a thing. The old field of dreams approach to strategy. Right. And it just doesn't work that way. You have to think very clearly and think about the return you're going to get on any investment. And that comes from the top of the organization down, where you demand to know what the return is on anything you're spending money on. It's sort of personally, when I go out and shop for myself, I want some return on what I invest. It doesn't matter if it's a pair of shoes or something like that. The return might be more comfort in walking, or I like the way they look or something, but there's got to be a return, and you always justify with that. You sometimes forget that in the business, and particularly if it's not, the people spending the money don't demand it. The people providing the money don't demand it. Certainly the people spending the money won't care as much.
Yeah, that makes sense. So my last question is, do you see as an industry information technology moving in the right direction as far as delivering value?
It's sort of a self-correcting problem. The answer is yes, I do see that. It's sort of a self-correcting problem. Those that aren't aligning activities with their strategies, the ultimate goal of which is to get a return on investment, they'll suffer and go out of business. This is kind of the reason behind all these efforts in big corporations to have, quote, lean processes and things like that, because we want everything we do, whether it's a project or a process, to contribute to what we're trying to get to as a company strategically. Let's focus on what matters. So, again, in either both the short and the long term, return on investment is what matters. But greater pressure comes on organizations as profit margins tighten and automation occurs and all those things. So again, I do see the industry moving more towards aligning IT projects and value. IT projects can certainly provide a lot of value. Again, it's self-correcting. IT is a part of an organization, and that can be a big part of reducing costs or increasing revenue. So more people have realized that over the years. Years ago, people that ran IT organizations were called, management information systems directors or something like that. Now they've been elevated to chief information or chief technology officers, whose role is to really make sure that whatever we use technology for, or information technology for, aligns with strategy. So yeah, it's self-correcting, and over the years, the industry has come to recognize the value of IT projects and the fact they need to align with an organization's strategies.
Great. Thank you so much, Ken.
You're welcome.